Toronto applause for that film. I want to thank you guys for coming tonight. I know it's freezing cold. I know that has kept a lot of people out for opening night, and they're all thinking, well, the weather's going to warm up tomorrow. But you know what? They missed out on something really magnificent here, I think. It is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Alan Elias to the stage. He's not only the executive producer of Friday's Child, you might actually recognize this handsome devil. He was in the movie. All right, I'll hand it over to him.
Well, thank you so much for coming here and for watching our film. For me, this film is not just a film, or really not just a movie, it's a movement. And what most people don't realize is that in the States that there's over 400 kids in foster care. While we've been enjoying this movie, 45 more kids have gone in. That may sound okay, but what happens is this story really shed the light on what happens when kids age out of foster care. And 25,000 kids age out every year at age 18. 40% end up homeless, 60% live a life of crime. So it's not a pretty picture for most kids. I'm actually mentoring the two boys that are in the beginning of the film. I climbed a 14,000-foot mountain with one of them and helped another kid get a job up on a property that I've got up in Colorado. But I can tell you this film will become the awareness, and then what we'll do is bring this to life and really let people know the challenges that kids are facing. So OnBuzz, my company that I'm CEO of, is distributing the film. We've got over 400 nonprofits behind it. They're going to market the film. We've tested this theory with one single film, and in one day with one nonprofit, we sold 62,000 tickets. So beat out every studio in the country for that week, and closest one to us was actually a Academy-nominated film that they counted their Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against our Monday, Less Desirable Day, and we pre-sold all the tickets. So we've also got the state of Texas behind us with Cecilia Abbott, our governor's spouse. And what we found is that in all of our research for the last 3 years while we're building this infrastructure is that 223 Fortune 500 companies are pouring money into this issue, but what's happening is we're not changing the needle. We're still seeing in every state same amount of kids that are aging out. It reaches over into other things like homelessness and crime. 80% of those on death row have a foster care background. Of the kids in sex trafficking, 60% of the kids have a foster care background. So it becomes a real big issue and something that we're excited to get behind. We've got a powerful infrastructure. We're going to launch it at South by Southwest. We world premiered last year, and we've been fortunate that Spectrum has come in and really wants to get behind the film. They want to put about $1.8 million in media behind the film. So along with the infrastructure that we've built with all these nonprofits, we expect to do good things and most importantly, help kids. So when you think about this movie, it's a movie obviously, but you're at the end, and I can hear people, really moaning. We really didn't want this to be Ty. We kind of expected it to be Caleb's character, but as you're thinking, this film doesn't have to end this way. And if we just reach out to some of these kids that are age 18 without any family or financial support, we can change their lives. So for us, again, it's a movie to movement. And thank you for being here for us.
At this time, we would like to open up some questions for Alan. Anyone have a question? Okay.
Don't be shy.
Okay. I'm going to come down here and talk to you.
Hi, my name is Eliza. First of all, great job.
Thank you.
That's awesome that you're bringing awareness about this kind of subject, and pretty heavy movie, and I felt like I lived through life. And my question is, what was the age group that was targeted for this movie? Was it parents or kids, or who was the age group?
I mean, from a distribution standpoint, who are we
Yes.
targeting? It's interesting. we're doing something very different. And what we're targeting is the audience that the nonprofits influence. So they'll influence a lot of parents with children. Parents with children obviously this would really appeal to them, but we've also got kind of a cult following because of AJ. AJ's been an understudy for Terrence Malick for so many years, and you know, I'm so proud of him. AJ took some risks with this movie, and I think he nailed it. And so there'll be people that will just want to come just because of the, you know, the amazing cast that we've got and the artistic freedom that we allowed AJ really to run with. And as an executive producer, I can tell you, we funded the movie, but that just meant that we stayed out of the way. When you've got great people like AJ, we just let him do his job. So.
Okay. If that mic is on, I'm not making this trip. Go.
No. I'm blind, so I can't see it.
Test. Yeah, we're on.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for bringing this film and your message to Toronto. First off, I just wanted to know, in your opinion, what can we do, maybe as an individual, to maybe take the first steps in contributing to the solutions of this problem?
Yeah, a great question. Thank you for asking that. We hope that that everybody is moved enough to want to ask that question. I think the first thing is just not ignore. We walk down the streets all the time and we see someone that's homeless, and it could be a kid, and we tend to look away because we're either embarrassed or just want to get past that situation because it's uncomfortable. So I'd say just not look away. When you see someone struggling, reach out. And the campaign we're launching is called Ticket to Dream. The nonprofit that we've partnered with is called Ticket to Dream. They've got, as I mentioned, 400 plus nonprofits they're working with. They're all in 50 states. And so it's going to take money. But we're also doing something unique. My whole background has been in the nonprofit industry, so I've really devoted my whole life to really trying to make the world a better place. And one of the things that we're doing that's also unique with this project, it's a massive infrastructure, but we've hired the University of Texas research team led by Dr. Faulkner. They're considered the #1 research firm in the country to monitor and measure us. So if we're going to do something like this, we want to make sure that we're actually making changes. So we want to see that the homeless rate went down. We want to see that incarceration went down. By the way, PTSD. So Ty's character said that he struggles with that. 25% of the kids in foster care do, which is twice the rate of veterans or veterans. So it is a significant issue. So I think the answer to the question is just not ignore. OnBuzz, our passion is social impact films. We're looking for other projects. We've got a couple in the queue that we're already taking a look at right now. And we've got a distribution model that is incredibly unique that I'm confident we'll do really well with. We'll launch with between 700 and 1,000 screens in May, which happens to be foster care month. So excited about where this can go.
Any more questions? We've got a question from Will. Hey, Will.
I apologize if this is like a more of for a director question, but you can clearly see the Terrence Malick influence in the film, which is very beautiful, and congratulations. But I was curious if you knew the choice, because it looked like the aspect ratio was 4:3. Like, did you guys shoot anamorphic and chop, or was it shot? Like, what was the sort of like motivation creatively behind that decision?
Let's see if anybody from the crowd knows the answer besides, because this is I'm so glad you asked that question, but.
I know.
Go ahead and say it.
Can I actually say something?
Yes, you can.
We read a review about this film by a reputable critic who said, the film spontaneously shifts, and I didn't get it. I mean, I completely see it. So does anyone else kind of just get why the aspect ratio shifted? Yes? It's the freedom, it's the boxed in,
exactly.
Right? So basically, you're in the boxed in zone with the character, and the choice to split to anamorphic is the seemingly wide range of options and freedom. However, when he discovers that it was just not to be, we once again get boxed in. It's actually I've seen a lot of films do it. This is the best time. It's the best way I've ever seen it done. It's the most artistically inspired choice. It wasn't stylistic.
Yeah, good question.
Sorry.
I'm glad you picked up on it. A lot of people miss that.
Any more questions?
Did your cast jump on it so quick that they were willing to kind of forfeit more towards the actual budget of the film and everything? I'm sure they were kind of all about the content rather quickly.
A good question. So when we agreed to fund the film, the only cast member that was attached was actually Ty Sheridan. And I honestly didn't know who he was at the time. I just don't pay attention to those kind of things. But then we got Imogen, and once we got Imogen, we got Caleb, and we got Brett Butler, and then Jeffrey Wright. I think when you have a film like this, that you have the opportunity to get the right kind of actors. It started with Ty. I mean, Ty's really taken off. I mean, when we world premiered at South by, we had Ty at our premiere. Then we had a VIP event afterwards, and he couldn't attend because he was too busy with Spielberg doing his movie. And that also world premiered at South by Ready Player One. So I think there's a way. I had a conversation last night with some of the filmmakers, and I think I would challenge you, all of us, to use our time and talent for good. It feels better, but from a business standpoint, it also makes a lot of sense. So that kind of goes to your question, is like, the talent will come in. You can get nonprofits to market your film. I mean, what's happening today, the industry it's a challenge to release a film. If only 1 in 5 independent films makes money back for investors, that's tough. But if you can build a system where nonprofits or databases are actually promoting it, you can bring in big groups like Spectrum that are willing to push your product. That's what it is, a product, and turn it into a social impact strategy, data-driven social impact strategy. There's a big win there, and we can change this. If investors lose money once, they're not going to want to come back again. And what we try to do is create kind of a double bottom line where they're able to make money back, but at the same time, really feel good that they're changing things. And in our case, actually monitoring it and seeing changes. Great question.
Any more questions? Back here. All right.
Hi, congratulations on the movie. It's really great, and watching it, you can tell you're really passionate about it. My question is, what's one thing that you would like the audience to take away from watching this movie?
Take risks. Take risks, but again, like I said before, use your time and talent for good. One of the things that we did with this film, while it was being made, we shot the entire film being made. So we had a team, a crew filming, and we intend to turn that into a young aspiring filmmaker education initiative. We'll take all that content and other films that we do, and we'll marry that with educational curriculum content. So then young aspiring filmmakers can be trained, and as they're looking at Ty Sheridan or Imogen or Jeffrey on the screen, and they're seeing different segments of what it takes to make a film, we think it'll be more impactful and more inspiring, with the end game of actually, again, getting people to use their time and talent for good. We've got choices. And quite frankly, I've got kids, and I'm not as worried about them now because they're 20 and 19, but when they were littler, it's tough to find stuff that I would feel was safe for them to watch, or would actually encourage them to be good people. So I think we've got an opportunity.
We have another one right here.
Great film. I have a question. You mentioned that many of the young ones that have been in foster care end up in prisons or in some kind of trouble, and you said that you're trying to help. What do you mean? They change the structure of what's happening in foster care, or help a little bit more these young ones?
Exactly. So 1 in 4 kids end up in prison. And if you think about it, so Ty's there was a moment in the film where they were by the water, and she was saying, "I know that you have nobody out there." This was a very true thing in that, you know, a child will go from home to home. The average kid is only in 3 homes. Tyler, the one in the front that said he washed his clothes by the creek with a real deep Texas accent. When I was on the way to buy him a truck, you know, to work up in Colorado on my property, and I asked him, I said, "How many homes, you know, were you in?" And he's always really animated, so he cocked his head back and said, "Well, I don't know, I couldn't count." And I said, "What do you think?" And he said, "Over 100. And then my next question was, "Well, what % of those homes do you feel like you were truly loved?" And he did the same kind of cock with his head, and then he said maybe 2%. So imagine a child, you know, they go through the trauma of being pulled from their family for whatever reason, and then they go into a home, and they start to feel safe, and then they're moved. What does that do to them, especially if it's, my goodness, 100 different times? You know, they begin to not trust. And so, you know, again, I think this is a really big issue. I've been studying it for 3 years, or building the infrastructure for this, and it's a $177 billion American tragedy that nobody knows about and nobody's talking about. So for us, it, you know, really becomes something that we can make a difference. We're going to put some really smart strategies in place, but we've been spending 3 years. You know, most times when we're at this stage where we're, you know, doing the festival circuit, you know, we hope a distributor picks up, and we pray that they'll, you know, show our films love, and that we can actually honor those involved. We got one of the guys on my project that came in, and he's an A-list actor, and I asked him, I said, "How many times do you get profit on the back end?" He said, never seen it. So you know, it starts to become a joke with these actors if you can't guarantee they're going to get it. So I do think, you know, beyond you know, really exposing these challenges for kids and hopefully making a difference, I think we also have the ability to take the system, which is broken. I was telling someone last night that, you know, the elephant in the room we all know is Netflix. It's tough to distribute films this time. You know, in the last couple of years, it's going to be tough. But if you had a guy like Steve Jobs, who was still alive, he would look at this and he'd say, "Let's do innovative strategies. You know, rather than spray and pray, you know, rather than spending money and just hoping it works, why not create a gift for, you know, a segment of the audience? In our case, because it's social impact, we find nonprofits. And then they market your movie because they care about it, because it exposes their mission and helps them along the way. So there's a lot of strategies. You just watch us over the next 6-8 months, and then if you've got some ideas for social impact films, contact us. If you've got something in the works, you know, contact us as well.
Hi. Oh, that was louder than I expected. Hi, thanks for coming by and sharing a bit of yourself. I wanted to ask, like, it seems like in the States, social impact policy making is getting slower and slower, especially federally. So what sort of role do you think films like yours can actually play in policy making?
Oh, I think huge, and even in the foster care industry, that's one of the things that does need to change. You know, becoming a student of this, you know, if you've got a kid, as an example, if you've got a kid that's in your home, foster care home, I can't promise you that all the parents are there for the right reasons. In the States, they actually get paid. And so what happens is there's a lot of encouragement of drugs, prescription drugs being given to these kids to, in many cases, just keep them calm. And that's not the answer. So there are some policy changes. You know, there are 37 governor spouses out there that have their own private initiatives for foster care. What does that tell you? It tells you there's a big issue. There's 223 Fortune 500 companies that are pouring millions of dollars in it. It's an issue. This is the toughest thing I've ever tackled in my life. Not the movie, the movement. Toughest thing, because it is not an easy fix. But we can do it. And I think it'll take 10 years. But if I look back at my life and I think 10 years from now, hopefully I still have hair, I look back and I see that we have made change for these kids. We've changed kids' lives. That made it all worthwhile. and that made this movie really important, becomes really that awareness that we all need to shake us up a little bit. You know, we've all got good, but we need to be challenged to do something. In some cases, we have a need right now for 101 in America. 101,000 foster care parents are needed. So, and loving parents that really, you know, can help these kids. So, I've probably taken way too much time here. And
you are absolutely not. I want to thank you so much. One of the things we do as programmers is we truth filter. That's what we do with programming. So we say, does a film speak truth? So we've been filtering bullshit all year. And every single person from our team who's met you has seen that look in your eyes and they've said, this is someone who really cares about what he's doing. It is so obvious. I'm tingling inside, actually. Like there's this, you know, it's humbling to see everything that you're doing. It's amazing to see people who have, you know, gone through this entire road that you've gone and decided to give back. I wish more people would do it, and I hope that this film has the change and inspires the change that you want it to.
Thank you so much for having us. I appreciate it. Thank you for
It's my pleasure.